2:45. Today, we have a special show. We are talking to the number one inductee into the Shlock Hall of Fame in the class of 2023, the 55th member of the Shlock Hall of Fame, double fives, Mr. Jonathan Birin from South Africa, from Johannesburg, South Africa. Johnny, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Lenny. If I remember, I used to call you lentils. So what an honor. Thank you so much.
I don't remember being called lentils, but okay, we'll take it. So today we're going to delve into the Johannesburg Jewish community, a little bit about what you do and how we met, and we'll go over some stories. And you'll of course tell us we have some great stories that you're going to tell us, which you don't even know that you're going to tell us about working with the South African Black community, especially doing Jewish music.
Yeah, it's quite a story.
So let's get started by first telling everybody that you're here in the Four Corners Project studio here in Beit Shemesh, Israel, and you are watching this show on 8 different possible channels, 4 Facebook pages, 2 Shlock Rock channels, 2 YouTube channels, 1 LinkedIn, and 1 Twitter account. So if you are, make sure that you go to www.fourcornersproject.org and make a donation to keep us going for the year. Also, this show is sponsored by Nefesh B'Nefesh, the Aliyah organization. If you want to make Aliyah, www.nbn.org. Get a hold of them, and they will help you facilitate the process. Okay, and now let's go back to our guest. So, Johnny, let's talk about, first thing is your musical background. Were you trained professionally?
So I played, let's go all the way back. I went to a Jewish day school in Port Elizabeth. It's called Theodore Herzl. And one day, a gentleman by the name of Rabbi Shlomo Kalabach arrived.
Oh my gosh, that's a big story.
Yep, and he stood on the floor in front of the stage. He didn't stand on the stage, and what he did was he played his repertoire. And I can tell you now, it was Boy V'Shalom in D minor,
Wow,
Shema Yisrael in A minor, and
wow,
Yisrael in the key of C. And that must have been in 1975, 76.
So in 75, 70, you're in Jewish day school there. You're in day school?
Correct. Very, very strong Jewish day school community. We were about 3,000 in the community. All Orthodox, basically 99% Orthodox, and very Zionistic.
Right. It's a great community. For those of you who have never been to South Africa, the Jewish community in South Africa is unbelievable. I've been there 9 times, which is how I know Johnny so well. But the cities where there are Jewish communities, Port Elizabeth used to be much bigger. Now it's smaller, correct?
Correct. Very much smaller.
Pretoria used to be bigger. Now it's smaller. But then there's, of course, Johannesburg, which everybody calls Joburg. There's Durban, which is very small now. Durban is
correct.
Very shrunk to very little. And, of course, Cape Town.
Cape Town's, I'm guessing, a baby 15,000.
How many Jews are in South Africa right now total?
No one really knows. I think between 45 and 60.
But they used to be 120, correct?
Correct. And if you carry on advertising your Aliyah things on this program, they're going to be even less. So,
okay, so we better. Well, after all, Johnny, that means you got to come here. You got to come to Israel. Well, all right. We're not going to nudge you about that.
We're still extremely strong. Very, very close community. So when we have the chief rabbi has a thing called Sinai in Darba, where they have lectures from around the world. We get 5,000, 6,000. They have the Jewish Report. I went to the Jewish Report awards ceremony the other night. There were 2,000. So it's very strong and very close. We have Hatzolah.
Wow.
We have a Chevra Kadisha, which is extremely strong. So, and then we've got all the Jewish day schools. So, majority of the kids in Johannesburg and Cape Town go to Jewish day schools.
That's unbelievable. So let's go back now. You're here in Port Elizabeth. You're growing up in Port Elizabeth. Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach of blessed memory comes into the school, stands in front of the school, plays 3 songs, Bowie B'Shalom in D minor.
That's correct.
A minor, he plays
Shema
Oseh Shalom.
Yisrael.
Shema
Shema
Yisrael.
Yisrael. Yeah.
And then
Oh, he
it
did
plays
Oseh
Am Yisrael
Shalom.
Chai in C.
See, that's it. And I still play it in those keys. And I formed a band with a few other people, one of which is Joseph Cohen, who's got Anglo-Saxon in Ranana, and he's got a band called Jokers and Thieves in Ranana.
Right, and Joseph Cohen also was, of course, the partner of Jeff Harvich in Israel. They had a studio together, and then Jeff went out on his own. Correct?
Yeah.
Jeff Harvich, I've done a lot of albums with here in Israel, and he is, of course, a member of the Shlock Rock Hall of Fame as well.
Correct.
Now, by the way, you're frozen a little bit on my screen.
I know. I'm going to disable and enable again. Maybe it's my face.
See. Okay, still frozen. Still frozen after all these years.
Should I try and get another camera? Would that help, do you think?
I don't know. Let's give it a shot.
Okay, give me a sec. I'll answer your call.
That was a wrong number. I thought it was somebody coming into the studio wanting to speak to you, but it was a wrong number. I think Johnny went out to try to get a new camera because he's frozen. We don't know whether it's the internet. A lot of people are saying, Lenny, you're skipping the audio, the this, the that. We are at the mercy of the internet. Sometimes it works beautifully. Now, I will tell you this, that on my block for the first time, they've installed fiber. So we're going to have fiber internet, lightning fast speed, they said, and clear pictures. Now, as we wait for Johnny to reappear, it's Buffalo Sabres night tonight. Buffalo Sabres. This is the Buffalo Sabres retro jersey. This is apparently a bison or a saber. No, not a saber, but it's a buffalo. Okay, so let's see what's going on. So Johnny is trying to get the technical stuff. And I just want to tell you all that on March 9th, I'm heading into America for 13 days. After Purim, I will be in America for 13 days from March 9th, actually to March 21st. If you are interested in a show, let me know by emailing me, Lenny at shlockrock.com, rock1@gmail.com. We have inductee into the Shlock Rock Hall of Fame, and we are learning his story. And isn't it unbelievable how many people were influenced by Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach? I want you to know that I'm friendly with Eliezer Blumen, otherwise known as Laser Lloyd. And he
I met him.
Yes, he's a brilliant musician, and he actually also had the same story. He was about to sign a record company, a label. There you are. He was about to sign a label with a regular label, and he met Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, and Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach said, go to Israel, and he went, and he waited for Shlomo to come, but Shlomo died before he came there, but still he went, and he became religious, and it was quite unbelievable, and his all Jewish music that he does is because of the influence of Shlomo Carlebach. Look at it's far and wide.
In our shuls in South Africa, I reckon 80% of every song that you sing is a Shlomo Carlebach song.
It's really interesting, right?
Yeah.
Here in America too, in Israel also. Although the industry, of course, has changed here in Israel, where it's a lot of rock and a lot of
we're still very
what's it called?
traditional.
ED, electronic beats per minute songs.
Correct.
Do you do a lot of that stuff? Have you been producing that in your studio?
So I produce it in my studio, but at Simchas, I still do very traditional. Avram Fried, Mordechai Ben David's, Teddy, all the old stuff, and then I DJ the later stuff later on. So
Very interesting. So wait, so okay, so Shlomo Carlebach has this influence. You start a band with Joseph Cohen, and eventually you make your way to Joburg to live. Is that what happens?
correct. So it was compulsory to go to military in South Africa for 2 years, and I got into the entertainment corps, and I got a phone call one Sunday morning. I was actually staying at my sister, and the guy phoned me and he said to me, "Do you remember me? I'm from Port Elizabeth." So I said, "Yes." He says, "Can you play at my wedding?" I said, "Sure." "When is it?" He says, "It starts in 2 hours." So I said, "Of course I can do it." And I phoned my sister and I said, what do you do at a Jewish wedding? In Port Elizabeth, there weren't so many Jewish weddings. So I played, I did the wedding, and from that you get one other function, another function. So I've done
That's right.
probably close to 3,500 to 4,000 Jewish speakers.
You have done, and you are both a one-man band and a complete orchestra. You have a complete orchestra.
Correct. So I'm one band, and I go up to about an 8-piece band.
It's really quite unbelievable. And would it be safe to say that you're the number one guy in Johannesburg, or there's already competition and you're fighting for whatever you can get?
Yeah, I would say I was pretty in the top 2 or 3 for about 25 years. I still have plenty functions. The market is down a lot since COVID. And
yes, I forgot about COVID. Yes.
No one really knows who's got the bulk of the work. But there are 1 or 2 caterers, in fact 2 or 3 caterers that have stopped. One made Aliyah, the other one closed down, the other one's doing smaller functions. So there are only two or three really good caterers. But it's coming back a little bit, but there's a pinch, a financial pinch.
And do you still see a lot of people wearing masks everywhere you go?
No longer at all. It's COVID. In fact, my wife got COVID 2 weeks ago, and it was a bad flu. We were obsessive with the masks and everything like that, and functions. I did a few weddings during COVID, maybe 30, 40 people at the whole wedding, where normally I would have 100
Yeah,
people.
I know. Yeah.
And it turned out, funny enough, the small functions were great, but people would wear masks, and the band. I was playing with an N95 and a blue mask, and I was in the wedding, and
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and my friend Ava Joffe from Cape Town phoned.
Yes,
left a message, you know Ava, and he said he was watching me on the streaming program where you can watch weddings, and Ava talks. He left a voice note. She says, "You're singing particularly well tonight." And then I took a picture of myself with an N95. And I said, "Can you imagine if I wore an extra N95? How good I look like?"
Yes, nobody can hear what you're singing, but you sound really good.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's unbelievable. So imagine what the concert business was like. It was non-existent for me for 2 years, and that's why Lenny Solomon Live began in June of 2020, and this is show number 245.
It's crazy.
So the thing is, I don't even know how many people are watching. I do believe we're averaging around 900 people a show, but not when we do it. When we do it, we get anywhere from 20 to 100 people, and then over the next couple of weeks, people watch. They go back, they watch the shows, they like the music. Today, of course, is a non-music show. It's an interview show. For those of you that don't know, this is Johnny Birin, the 55th inductee into the Shlock Rock Hall of Fame. It's
better that I don't sing, I think, Lenny. I'll get more. A bride. I did a secular wedding once, and the bride said to me, "Can you sing 'Have I Told You Lately That I Love You' just like Van Morrison?" And I said to her, "If I could sing like Van Morrison, I wouldn't be singing at your wedding."
Well said. Or what about the person that comes up and says, "Can you play with it?" "Oh, yes, I could." You won't hear anything, but
Yeah, I once had a guy who complained about the volume just before at the pre-drinks, and there were like 15 people in the venue and about 100 outside, 200 outside, and he was screaming at me how the sound was a disgrace. And I said to him, "Yes, but the problem is I've still got the plug in my hand. I haven't even plugged in yet."
Let's okay. So let's. When did we meet? Do you remember what year that it
Yeah,
was?
I'm guessing it was 1985, 86. And I
Okay, so it
remember
has to be 88 because that was the
88,
first
okay.
year. 88 was the first year I came to South Africa. In 86 and 87, I was in Melbourne. I was in Australia. So in
Right, okay.
88, they restarted the Encounter program with
Count,
Ian
that's
Aziz,
correct.
Rabbi Ian Aziz.
Yes,
And then Isidore Rubenstein took over from him.
yes, that's right.
So I met you in 88. It had to have been in 88. Now, did I come
Yes.
into the did I come into the
No,
studio right away?
no, you were neighbors. You were staying at somebody in Second Avenue in Talbotton, and
Yes.
you were neighbors to my sister. And you told me that you wanted to become the Billy Joel of the Jewish fraternity, which
Right.
which you did.
I don't know if
and
I don't know if I'm the Billy Joel, but at least I did do lots and lots of concerts. Yes.
And then
over.
all I remember how I immediately took you to a kosher burger place in Glen Hazel,
Oh.
which, by the way, is there must probably be 20,000 Jews in one suburb, and 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 I remember you eating 2 burgers in one sitting because the meat
Well,
in South
that's
Africa is really good.
yes, and 2 burgers at one sitting is not a lot of burgers.
Yeah,
Not for me, but we're
yeah,
we're working on losing weight actually
yeah.
for all of you out there. Um, so now remember in 88 and 89 I did concerts. Saul Emanuel was involved. He moved on to Montreal. Kivy
Good friend of
Bernard was
mine.
involved. He moved to Atlanta. And we had a band of Michael Fora on sax,
It's
Mike Fora
emigrated.
on
Yeah.
sax, Jethro Buto on
Wow.
guitar,
He
and
passed
one of the
away.
great. He passed away.
Yeah, he
Oh, I
passed
didn't
away.
even know that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on drums was Neil Ettridge.
Very.
Neil Ettridge.
He played in my band, and after that, after Saul emigrated, I couldn't get work, so I emigrated Saul to Montreal. No, I'm joking. So,
So we got to get Saul to listen to this.
yes, he's a character. He still follows cricket, so he wakes up at 2 a.m. in the morning in Montreal to watch cricket in South Africa. His kids
Oh
think
my
he's
gosh.
mad. He's still got a cricket bat and pads. And I actually recorded a song for him. We did the backing here, and Jeff Horovich did the vocals in Israel. It was a beautiful song. I've got 2 or 3 cousins singing that song. But yeah, so that band was really good. You played, if I'm not mistaken, at Yeshiva.
Yes, the first show was at Yeshiva, and the second show was at Gold Reef City.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah, I remember.
That was in 89. That was in 1989. And then
Yeah.
I came back again in 92, 93, 94, 3 years in a
Right.
row. And then I recorded 2 songs at your studio.
Correct.
I'm trying to think what year they were. I can't remember, but it had to be 90s. It had to be in the 90s, I would imagine. And then in the meantime, tell us about your experience. You've also recorded music, correct?
Correct. So I recorded an album, 2 albums. One called Let's Bench with Cantor Nathan Gluck, who's now in Golders Green, and Best of Smiris. Then I did an album which was really stupid on mine. I did it. It was Kut Hooked on Horror.
I
And
remember.
every single DJ around the world started using this. And I put on there, please don't play it for at live events because it's taken away Panosa from live musicians. Anyway, every DJ plays it, so they still play it. And then recently I did an album called Simcha Africa,
Oh,
which was done in Jeff Horovich's studio in near Beit Shemesh.
But you also had, that's where you had the choir, didn't you?
Correct. So that is a black choir, and it's quite amazing. So you you think that we own the intellectual property of our religion, but one day the one of the waiters from the by the name of Clements asked me if I'll come and sing for his, he calls him his rabbi or his leader or his pastor or whatever. So I said, with pleasure, Clements, because Clements always would sing at my functions.
Yes, yes.
And then we drove into the middle of Johannesburg town, which I was a little bit nervous. And I'm thinking in my head, if it's his pastor is turning 70, I'm going to have to play Hello Dolly, New York, New York, You're My Sunshine, that type of repertoire. Anyway, as I drive in, he says, by the way, keep it from. So I said to him, what are you talking about, Clements? He says, just keep it from. I walk in there are guys, all people of color, wearing tzitzit, kippot. They've got a bookstore, like a collar bookstore, and I start playing, and they know every word that I sing, everything. And I couldn't believe they knew the steps of the dancers, and they're not Jewish, but they're very Zionistic.
So would you say they possibly could be a lost tribe? Is that possible?
No, I don't think this one. I'll tell you another one. You said that, but they are very, very. Everything is about Am Yisrael Chai, and they go to Israel once or twice a year. And I remember going, could I play Shlock song? And he said to me, Clemens, of course, please. And I did and all the men put their hands around each other's shoulders, and they started singing. That I mean, they were crying. I was crying. I couldn't believe this was happening. And in fact, if you Google me, and you'll be able to see this thing on YouTube. I think it's called South African Entertainer Gets a Surprise or something. So with them, then there's another guy who from the Dimona tribe.
Right, that's the Black Hebrews. That's the Black Hebrews from Dimona. We once played them in softball. Well, there was a softball league in Beit Shemesh. Oh, did we get killed? Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. So basically, they pray in Hebrew. They were doing another album, and there were like 6 of them. They walked in here, and the guy doesn't know I'm Jewish, and he said it's a completely different album. And they say, do you mind if we make a prayer before we perform? I said, do what you want. So they go into the booth right next to where I am here, and the guy gets in there and he starts reciting Tehillim.
Oh, wow.
And then he goes, and then
you don't even know where you are. You could have been in Meir Sha'arim. You could have been in the Kotel.
So then I said to them, how, and I started speaking to him in Hebrew, my bad Hebrew. But I said, how do you speak? He says, how do you pray? He says, Bivrit. I said, what? I said, I need to record you. So they said, fine. They come the next week, and they start singing Al Shema Yisrael from Shlock Karabas. The difference is they say Hashem's name.
Right. A lot of people do that if they don't know better. They don't know not to sing Hashem's name. Yes.
So I said to him, his name is HaKohen, the leader. I said, is there a chance that you could just say Hashem? And I said, he says, no. I said to him, please, it's not commercially viable. Can you say? And he's a black guy from Soweto, which is a black township.
Right. Soweto is where. That's right. Yeah. I've been there.
He says to me, I've got 2 sons in the RDF, and if I want to pray to God Hashem now, I want to pray to Hashem. Anyway,
wow.
We didn't finish
2 sons in the IDF. Unbelievable.
Yep. So anyway, I got the idea of sticking songs with this black choir behind it, and it's done quite nicely. It's called Simcha Africa, and if you type in YouTube, I've got one song on YouTube, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, and with the
Right. Oh,
black
Yavo
choir behind it.
Shalom Aleinu. Right?
That's
Yeah, the
it.
very nice one. Very nice song.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have the whole choir singing with you.
I've got a black choir behind me, and funny enough, one of the main vocalists actually is a Jewish guy, R.J. Benjamin, that not one Yid knows who he is, but the minute he walks out my studio, the black generation, they charge him. They want pictures with him. He's bigger in the townships than he is in our Jewish areas. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, lovely guy.
So I must tell you, do you realize that we've 26 minutes have gone by for this interview already? It's unbelievable. Time flies when we do these interviews.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
okay, so now let's get to Johnny Birin today. What is your goal? Let's call it next 5-10 years. What are you planning on doing? Now, you've just for everybody at home who are watching, Johnny you had a small studio, and then you built
Correct.
it up, and now you have a pretty big complex, wouldn't you
Yeah,
say?
yeah. I'll show you quickly. It's a bit untidy. This is where I am, and that's the booth.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I have another 2 studios next door, and then I've got another 100 square meters that I rent out to video guys, and I assist them with the sound. In fact, yesterday we did a very interesting one on AI, artificial intelligence, which is frightening.
Wow. By the way, we're just going to say hello to our associate producer, Judy Hertzfeld, who just joined in. Let me send her a message. She is here. It is Buffalo
always
Sabres
mention her.
night, Judy. Judy is at pretty much every single show that we do. She gets on. So well, you'll be able to watch the whole thing earlier. She's just finished a shiur, so she didn't catch the beginning. But we have been talking for 26 minutes about life in South Africa, and Johnny, of course, being the 55th inductee into the Shlock Rock Hall of Fame. And why are you being inducted? What did you do that gets you into the Shlock Rock Hall of Fame? Well, a lot of things. Number one is we did a lot of work together. Number two is every time I came to South Africa and I needed help musically, Johnny was there for me. Also, we played a couple of gigs together. You remember when the Bricker Wedding, when I came in?
Yes.
But I think
That's
you
right.
played it. No, I played it, but you also played it. We both played it.
Yeah.
And then, of
They're
course,
still very good friends of mine, actually. In fact, the little guy, Gabi, that's the brother, he used to be my road manager.
yes.
And now he actually got me a huge gig on Sunday. I was musical director for his company on Sunday. It was the most amazing event. Hello, Julie.
Fantastic.
I've heard your name every week.
So what does Gabi do? What is Gabi doing now?
So Gabi still is involved in Mizrahi Show.
Right.
And but he runs he is partners with 2 other film guys. They do branding on caps and shirts and
Oh, very nice.
and then he's an accountant. I cried when he graduated, and he told me it passed. I said I want to recheck that. I'm sure he failed
Because that ended his because that was it because he grew up because that's what happens. They all grow up except for us. We don't grow up though.
No, we don't grow
I
up.
want to tell you something. Gabi and I, we wrote that song together, Makimi, when his father was sick. And we recorded it on Mikdash in 1997. Gabi's fantastic, of course. Rafi and Tali, the whole family, the whole Bricker family. We used to stay there when we came to South Africa. We also stayed at Julian and Julian Dick. That's where I stayed the first.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Nice. He was neighbors with my sister. Yeah. Remember, I sent you the one song I used to live in Glen Hazel, and everyone on Shabbos, like, I wouldn't call it Masharim, but everyone walks in the middle of the roads. But literally thousands. We are we are more Litvaks than Litvaks at the moment, and
In South Africa.
yeah, even to the
South Africa
very
is all Litvaks. Everybody's a Litvak in South
correct,
Africa.
correct,
And
and I
Australia
mean,
too, mostly in Australia as well.
yeah, and
Now, how is
I
Rabbi
told you,
Mofson doing, by the way, speaking of which? Is Rabbi
I
Mofson okay?
I think he made Aliyah. I've got a feeling he made
Oh,
Aliyah, but I'm
really?
not
Then
100. I'm
I
not.
have to look
I'm
him up.
actually playing at his niece's wedding in 3 weeks' time. I'll
So you know
almost.
that there are so many people that I know and love in South Africa. It's such a great community, and
Yeah.
it's just really fabulous. So okay, so let's get back. What are your plans? What are you going to be doing? In the next 5 years, where do you see Jewish music in South Africa going? Are you planning on coming here? Is there something you want to tell us? Is there a surprise?
Well, no, there's no, there's no surprise. There are quite a few South Africans making the Aliyah. In fact, in the last 14 months, 1,200 people made Aliyah. Majority of them go to Ranana, which we call
Right,
Ranana Fontaine.
right.
It's a soft landing. There's now a South African shul there, a big South African shul. And I would like to bring my Simcha Africa concerts to Ranana for one night, and maybe you'll sing on it.
That would be great. That would be great. Are you talking to anybody that can make it happen?
I'm conceptualizing the thing at the moment, and I haven't spoken to anyone directly, but I know my friend Joseph Cohn performs at a venue, I think they're called Center Stage in Tel Aviv or Ranana, and I will contact him once I've got my act together.
So that's great. Okay, so to recap, as we are already over the 30-minute mark, a couple of things. Number one is, if you want to see any of the music of Simcha Africa or hear any of the songs of Simcha Africa, you can go on YouTube. And what do you type in? Do you type in Simcha Africa?
Simcha Africa and my name, Jonathan Birin, Brin.
Okay.
And it's available on iTunes, on Spotify, Deezer, all the usual.
Right, and you'll hear the South African take on songs that you know. And are there any original songs on these albums too?
There are, I think, the three or four original songs.
Okay.
So the one is called a Kwela, so which is almost like it's old-fashioned black music. The youngsters, they don't even know Kwela now. It's they know house.
This is the Paul Simon influence. Once he came to South Africa, it opened up music.
Yeah. Yes.
But anyway,
doing it in my studios. I'm doing adverts now for Spotify.
You are.
I do a lot of television adverts for what's it called, Vata Aid. It's for losing weight. And I just want to ask you a moral question. I was actually with my right hand, I was mixing the voice over to the music, and on the left hand side, I was eating chips. So I'm not sure.
There's a moral issue there. You next time have the chips first, and then
okay,
you could use both hands. Anyway, I want to thank you for coming on, Johnny Birin, the 55th inductee into the Shlock Hall of Fame.
What an honor! Thank you.
We hope to see you either with me coming to Joburg or you coming to Israel. It sounds to me like you coming to Israel is a possibility, and we will have a show. We'll tell everybody about it. For all of you guys, we will see you next week with Lenny Solomon Live Show 246. Isn't that interesting? When we go into the album Nu Lanu Siman, which came out in 2004, we will be up to that. And we will have more interviews as well. Everybody, keep on shlocking in the free world, and we will see you soon.